1 second.
Yeah.
So, it looks like we are live, and isn't that spectacular, especially at my age and where I live. So, hi, everybody. I'm Mel Rosenberg here for the New Books Network, the children's literature channel of the New Books Network.
Oh,
It's live, and I'm here with a wonderful author illustrator, wonderful Michael Parkin. Hi, Michael, and
yeah.
welcome to the interview. It's so wonderful to have you. And before I forget, I will shout out to Sam Arthur, a publisher of Flying Eye Books, who recommended that I have a look at your great Rooster book. And I was taken, I was blown away. And here you are, wonderful young and extremely talented person. So, do you have your book to flap around and show people?
Yeah, I've got a copy here.
That was good thinking. So, a few
Out.
words about your brand new book, which launched, which took wing just 3 months ago. Wrong Time Rooster, Flying Eye Books. Michael Parkin, the stage is yours.
Yeah, so this is a book that I have been writing over. Well, actually, it sort of started with just the title. I just had this title, Wrong Time Rooster, in my head, and then I sort of developed the story with the help from Sam Arthur, who was also on the podcast. And yeah, it's a story about a rooster who can't tell the time, that gets moved around between different farms because no farmer can find a use for a rooster that crows at the wrong time. And he kind of doesn't really know where his home is, and each place he goes to gets given a different clock. Anyway, he keeps crowing at the wrong time, wakes up the farmer and the animals, and disturbs their dinner, kind of disturbs them in the bath, until eventually they intervene and kindly help to teach him tell the time.
So, this is a great story for young kids. It has a very original story arc. It's funny, and the illustrations are marvelous. Show us some of the double spreads, please. And
Yes.
it also has a kind of a lesson, if you want, or several lessons, the lessons of friendship and telling time and so on. I love it.
I think that's what at the heart of it is a story about finding a place where you feel accepted, essentially.
Finding
Uh,
a place where you can grow.
yeah, exactly. And that was, I think I had that in mind before the story. The story was built around that, basically. I don't know how many of these spreads you want to see. This is when he's
Sam will be angry, but you can show one or two more.
um I'll try and find another one. This is at the end when he finally gets to
Ah,
crow on top.
cock-a-doodle-doo.
Yeah. So I've done a couple of readings, well, three now, I think, with kids. And it's great for that because they all join in with the cockadoodle doos, which is yeah, which is always fun.
It's disarmingly cute. Um, and one of the things that we are often criticized for is not writing for the children. And
Yeah.
this book is written for the child. It's illustrated for the child. It's at the level of the child, not talking down to kids. And so now I want to know, so that means everybody wants to know, I'm assuming, how did you land a contract, which has now become a three-book contract, with one of the best publishers in the UK and maybe in in the world?
I think, well, actually, and Sam talked about it a little bit on the podcast with you as well, is that they have a very relaxed, um, I guess it's not relaxing for him because he goes through all the submissions, but they have a very relaxed submission process where they are open to people kind of contacting them directly. So that's been because this is, I think, the third story. So I'd written a completely different story, a rhyming one, which I sent to Sam, and a couple of other publishers that I also had a chat with. But Sam, I don't know, he's been really great from the start and has kind of offered me bits of feedback and help, and he replies quickly to any emails I've sent. So anyway, I sent it to the submissions email, not to him directly, and I didn't really hear anything back. But then a couple of months later, I don't know, 2, 3 months later, he got in touch.
Which is very fast in the publishing world.
Yeah, 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 exactly. And he got in touch and said that this story's not right for us. The rhyming one, he said, I love the illustrations, I love the story, but we're not looking. That's not what we're looking for at the moment. Do you have any other ideas? And then that's when I actually pitched him Biguana and then Wrong Time Rooster at the same time because I had those both. And yeah, and he
Big Wana is your next book with
yes,
Flying
that's right.
Eye, and you have
Yeah,
another one. We won't mention the name, but what animal is it?
that's a frog.
Yeah, so we have a rooster one out 3 months ago, an iguana one on the way, and the frog
Yeah,
one waiting to hop and croak in
yeah,
2 or 3 years. 2 or 3 years.
yeah, that's right.
That's remarkable. So out of nowhere, you started submitting to Flying Eye, and through this iteration with Sam, you took the idea for the Wrong Time Rooster and turned it into a marvelous story.
Yeah, because I had the title, and yeah, I've just been sort of playing around with the story, and then I sort of I molded it. I think I molded it into a story about time difference, as in like across the world, and then after a chat with Sam, we are like, actually, that's a little bit complex for the age range we're aiming at. So I went away and came back with this story, and yeah, so that's what I mean. It's been quite collaborative. Like I think I brought the story, but Sam, as he says, quite often shoots from the hip with feedback, which is very helpful for me because I get his instant reaction and honest opinion on everything, and that helps. That's helped a lot in forming these stories.
And of course, his career and financial stake is in every book.
Yeah.
So he also wants to get it right. I could tell you weren't in Bologna a few weeks ago, but I was, and the Flying Eye stall was packed with people. I could barely get in to say hello and admire your book. It
Right.
was
I mean, yeah.
it's one of the most popular publishers at the exhibition. So let's go back to your life and your career because before you became an up and coming traditionally published author illustrator, you were an internationally renowned illustrator for magazines, the New Yorker, the New York Times, Wall Street Journal. My goodness, what a career for a young person. Tell us about that.
So I worked in jobs I didn't like for a long time to start with.
What?
Well, I say a
Start,
long time. I
Michael,
so I
start with the story about your grandfather. I'm helping you now, right? You have this poignant story about your grandfather. That's a good place to start.
okay, yeah, so that's before work, obviously, but I've started out. I just have always had an interest in stories. I used to turn up at my grandma and grandpa's house, and before even saying hello or anything, I would go straight into the bookshelf, grab a book, come out, pass it to my grandpa, and ask him to read it to me. And
What were your favorites growing up? Picture books.
they had a lot of the Ladybird classics, so they were like we used to read a lot of those, which were kind of, like the classic story, fairy tale stories, but in the small. I don't know if you have the small Ladybird hardbacks. So yeah, I used to read through those with them constantly, and I liked quite a lot of non-fiction, like Animal Atlas and things like that, because I used to love drawing the animals from the Animal Atlas, so I would get them and kind of draw the animals. Um, yeah, so the drawing part has always been something that I've loved, and I used to write little stories, which I've got a couple of at my parents' house. Of they always seem to end in me going home for sausages for dinner or something like that. But what? and and then
It's a great ending
yeah, well, I mean,
to a picture book unless the hero is a pig.
yeah, not so great, I suppose, in that case. Yeah. And then
Bye bye, Porky. I got to go home and get my sausages.
and then I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do because I play music as well. I play drums, so I got that. That took over quite a large part of my spare time.
What,
Um,
rock, jazz, what?
uh, Rock, I would say, yeah, probably like rock. Which I still do now, but I'm in a covers band with some friends. Um, Sorry, I'm on a tangent tangenting, but yeah, I so anyway, I worked in jobs that I wasn't interested in. I got fired from two, three, maybe four jobs.
What kind of jobs?
They were all kind of admin jobs, or like I did oak picking on a farm once. They got asked, didn't I got asked not to come back. Uh, I got fired from an admin job that I worked at a hospital. I worked in a garden centre, and I got asked not to come back because I think I wasn't interested in it, and I was messing about basically. And uh, and then I worked in a call centre for a
No,
while.
but you went to university.
Yeah, but I went back when I was older. So I was 24 when I went back to university. So not lots older, but sort of 5 years older than everyone else there. To do because when I was in the call center, every time I was on the phone, I was drawing the people that were on the calls and all of that, not really paying enough attention to the calls that I should have been. And then I think, yeah, I realized, right, I need to take a leap
Yeah,
here and try something.
you're hilarious. Where are those drawings?
Oh, I don't know, long gone. They were all
So,
online.
yeah, so you'd be interviewing somebody and like you'd say, "Well, hold still. I want to get the nose right."
No, because it was a call center, so I didn't have any view of what that. So
No,
all I could hear.
I know this is my stupid humor.
Okay, sorry. Yeah,
No,
if you could still, I'm just.
no, you were imagining the way they look based on their voice.
Yeah, yeah.
Michael, there's a story here. Okay, there's a story here of identifying maybe animals by their whatever they do and getting it wrong. Um,
Yeah,
you love writing books where the main character can't get it right. Um, oh no, no, ba ba ba. Oh, hello, cow. No, no. Anyway,
yeah.
we can write a book after the show. Okay, so what did you study? You went to Kingston University.
That's right. Yeah, I did illustration and animation, but it was illustration really. You had to choose between the two at one point, and I chose illustration. We did a little bit of animation, but not much. Um, and very much knowing that I wanted to be an editorial illustrator at that point. So I went in kind of with an aim, knowing where I wanted to be, used the 3 years to just,
How,
yeah.
how did you get in? How did you find an international agent for your cartoons and magazines? They are incredible. How did you do that?
Uh, just lots of pig-headedness, I guess. It's like yeah, I think it was difficult at first, I'm not gonna lie, because I came out of uni, I didn't have work waiting for me, so I had to make self-initiated work, send it out, keep banging on the doors until eventually some started to open, make the most of them, and then it's just kind of built to where I am now. But yeah, I think you have to have a certain amount of resilience or stupidity, say, to keep going and keep going.
So
But
how
yeah,
many rejections did you accumulate before you had your
oh,
first big
I don't know really. Like I couldn't tell you because I was sending, I was what I was doing at the time was taking an article from something like the New York Times or the Guardian that didn't have an illustration, and then I would do my illustration for that, unpaid obviously,
well,
and
that
then
that
send.
was that was that was your own idea. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of my friends we did the same thing as well, and then
You
send
could
it
have
off.
had this. You could have had this in your article.
Yeah, and just be
And
this is how I would
and
approach your
and and who said yes, Michael?
one of the first people that hired me was the New York Times.
A,
Um,
a small outfit.
yeah, who I did an editorial for. And then I mean, there were lots of people that have over the years have kind of have hired me and stuck with me and used me again and again. So who I'm
Yeah.
massively grateful for. So yeah, it's it's been fun. I mean,
Mhm.
it's yeah,
You,
no, it's really
you told me you're now writing a drawing an illustration for the obscure journal known as the Wall Street Journal. Um,
yeah. I've just
it,
finished. That was what I was
it,
doing before the
it,
call.
it, it's incredible that I'm interviewing you because that is quite a wonderful career. And yet, despite or together with your success as an international illustrator, something happened to you, something that I consider to be blessed. You got into your head the idea of writing and illustrating your own book. How did that happen?
I think it's been something that's been kicking around the whole time, really, because when I was at university, I actually did graphic novels more than editorial for a bit, and I had a short graphic novel, a wordless one that came runner up in the Guardian's competition over here, and I had some chats with there's a publisher called Jonathan Cape that do comics, and they were interested in me sending some ideas to them. But then I think I burnt out with that, and I got more interested in editorial at that point and went on to there. But the love for narrative and telling stories was still there. And then yeah, I think just actually started doing it or writing stuff in lockdown during lockdown because I would go to the studio. There was no one else there, so I was just writing these stories. And I had at the time my eldest son was 1.5, 2, and I think that was a real boost into wanting to write stories, to tell stories. You know, I was reading to him, still am every night, and that's yeah.
And did you know that the odds of breaking in as an author or author illustrator are very low? Or did you just ignore that and say, I'm gonna continue to be pig-headed Michael and bang
Yeah,
on doors until I find the right one?
yeah. I think I was about to say. I think yeah, I was just yeah. I hadn't given it a thought when I was writing the story. I wasn't writing the story. The first story that I wrote, which it's on a shelf. Maybe I'll come back to in the future. But that's the one that
The
got Sam.
rhyming one.
Yeah, which was called Hats Off. That was just a thing because I wanted to write a fun story. You know that I wasn't at the time thinking, oh, maybe this will needs to be a one that will get me a book deal or anything like that. I wrote it because it's something that made me laugh. I enjoyed writing and rhyme. I enjoyed all of the bits like the illustrations. Um, it was only once I'd written it and spoken to a few friends, they were like, "Oh, you should send this off." And then I thought, okay, maybe I will. So I just and yeah,
Mhm.
then the pig-headedness
And,
kicked in.
and you did this without joining SCBWI, without taking courses, without joining a critique group.
Yeah, I'm still not in any of. I really would like to be in a critique group, but I don't really know how to join one. So yeah, I'm still not in those things.
I'll help you. I'll help guide you with that after the interview. It's not that hard, especially if you're a traditionally published author illustrator, then you should have no trouble. So everybody who has critique groups and wants this remarkably talented young guy, just I'll post his email and
Please
you
do.
can write him the same way that anybody can submit a manuscript to Sam Arthur at Flying Eye Books. Um, so I want to talk to you now a little bit because I write, but I can't draw stick figures. And I'm always in awe of illustrators and even more of author illustrators. And what I don't get is how the process works for you. Um, you get an idea. Do you think about it visually? Do you write it down? Run us through this.
Um, so the story will be written for me as words before I go to do any visuals. It's the
Really?
way, yeah, it's the same with editorial and everything. Like, even if I'm doing a self-initiated project, I have to have the idea. I'm not someone who can just sit and play around with a pen or whatever medium until something comes together. Like, I have to pretty much know what the idea is before I can
But
go in.
so I will rephrase your honor, if I may.
Yep.
Um, I can't draw anything, so I can write about anything. But if you're an author who likes to draw roosters, right, and you have an idea about an elephant, but you don't like drawing elephants, you're not going to write your fantastic story about your elephant, or are you?
I think it depends how, because I'd never drawn an iguana before I did Biguana as the book, for example. So it depends how strong the story is that I've got the idea for. If it's something that I'm really keen on, then I'll take the time playing around and learning how to draw an elephant until there's one that I'm happy with. So yes, is the answer is I think I wouldn't shy away from it because I was worried I wouldn't be able to draw it. I would make it work however I could, I think.
What would happen if somebody liked your story and then said, Michael, we'd rather have somebody else illustrate it? How would you feel about that?
Uh, I'm not sure really. I'm not sure that yeah, I don't know. I think I'd like to have a conversation maybe with them a bit more openly as to why, as to if there's anything that I could maybe adjust to make it work. I think the illustrations are such a joyous part of it to me that, and for picture books, like that's a big part of it. And I think I would probably, if I could, try and persuade them to let me keep hold of that part of the job.
Okay, but I talked to you earlier because like you're someone that I would really like someday to, you know, for the opportunity to for you to illustrate something that I've written. You just have that great style. Um, and you told me that you're open to illustrating books that you haven't written.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
but, but you haven't done that yet.
I have done for different types of books. I haven't really done for like a picture book like my one, but I have done for some children's non-fiction bits, and other bits like that. So I mean, yeah, I would be more than happy to do that because I love drawing and I love illustration. I actually kind of, I mean, I love doing my books, but actually doing somebody else's book is just as enjoyable, if not maybe more enjoyable because you're slightly more detached from the project, if that makes sense. Like I don't know. No, I don't know. I like drawing, so I'm in for any opportunity to get to do that, basically.
That's wonderful. So essentially, you have um, built a career on what you love the most.
Yeah, I turned a hobby into work essentially. But yeah, I genuinely look forward to coming out and doing work. I mean, the stresses that come with freelancing, I could happily leave, but the actual work itself, I would find very hard to leave. I think even if I got another job, I would still be doing this stuff in my spare
You,
time.
you'd be still doodling. You would have to find a job where you can absolutely not use your hands. Are you left-handed or right-handed?
Right-handed.
So you're absolutely not allowed to use your right hand for anything that's connected to pencils, crayons, and what have you. So Michael, you are one in 1,000, maybe one in 5,000. Um, only one out of 3,000 manuscripts turns into a children's book. Um, illustrators, there's tons of illustrators dying to illustrate picture books. And you've done one beautiful book and two more on the way that I know about. You must have advice to share to our aspiring authors and illustrators.
Uh,
If
yeah,
not,
I guess.
I'm going to remind you of one, but I want to hear one or two from you.
Okay. I would always say that, like, basically don't give up. I mean, if anything that I've said so far has resonated, it's to just keep going and don't let the punches take the wind out of you. You've got to keep going, and then I think it's got to be something that, again, I think I've touched on this as well, that you are really passionate about yourself. Because like I said, I think the first book that I wrote, well, all of them have been ones that I haven't really been thinking about uh the commercial or financial side of stuff, which Sam has very much helped me with, obviously. But like I think I've written stories because I like writing stories, and I think that would make a child happy, or it might help understand a situation, etc.
So your
Uh,
next piece of advice, which we've talked about, is to be kids centric.
yeah, for me, I mean, obviously, if you like writing kind of young adult fiction or anything like that, you know the area that you're in. I've got very much a childish brain, so it lends itself to
You know my theory that people who write for 5-year-olds are essentially 5-year-olds.
yeah. I think my wife would vouch for that.
We can bring her on the show. But they're the kindest people. And the people in this, I'm not going to call it business. I'm going to call this calling, walk of life, are the nicest people because you feel like you're talking to people who love what they're doing, they're passionate, and are also as nice as a generous 5-year-old can be.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I strive to be, yeah, but yeah,
And
I think one other bit, which I don't know if is advice, which I think kind of is a bit more of a pushback on you saying that you can't draw, is that I think everybody can draw. That's a thing that I've always believed. I think, it might not look how you envision it doing, but some of my favorite drawings are the drawings that my 5-year-old son does, for example, and such. Like everyone can draw. You just have to put aside your fear and preconceptions, I guess, and just have a go, I think.
yeah, no, but okay. So I've thought about this a lot because, in a sense, it's easier for author illustrators in this world. Um, but I really can't draw. And when I was 5, I could draw because nobody's going to say, your face looks like a mashed potato.
Yeah,
They're just going to pat you on the head and say, "Wow, that's a wonderful drawing," But when you're growing up and your face looks like a mashed potato, and you didn't mean to, and it's not a book about a mashed potato, um, you're kind of, and then it's everything that we talked about. It's like this fear of rejection, of not being good enough, yada yada yada.
sure. And I get that. Like everybody gets that.
You
Um,
you get that?
Yeah, of course. Like, of course, I'm always worried that people won't. When I sent you this book, I sent you the book, and I was like, oh, I really hope he likes it. Like I get that pang of like, I really hope he likes it. That what if he doesn't? And I've been trying not to get in my own head too much about the book being out because I'm like, is it being well received? Is this normal? Is it, But like, I try my best just to push that down and focus on the next thing because, yeah, I can't. Um, there's no way of me knowing, like that's there.
So you wrote to me a piece of advice that I know that I should use and everybody should use, and most do not, which is having a little notebook beside your bed because we all get ideas at night.
Yeah.
And then we say, "Oh, I should write this down, but I'm sleepy. But I'll remember this in the morning when I wake up." Geez, you know how many ideas I lost that way? And you
Yeah.
said that you had this idea at night and you semi woke up to write it in your notebook. And I think that's an incredible bit of advice.
My so that's how these books, both Wrong Time Rooster and Big Iguana came about was I don't know what dream I was having or whatever, but I woke up with the title Wrong Time Rooster somehow in my head. Whether it was from the dream, whether I woke up and it's just kind of clattering around. But then all I did was wrote that down and then I left it for I don't know, 6 months or something before I actually was like, like I can now maybe I'll work with this. And it just stayed in my notebook. But yeah.
It's
I think it's good and it's very easy to forget those. The amount of times I've woken up and tried to recall something you have a big sense of having a good idea, but you can't get it back.
let's go back. So you wait till your story is written before you dummy it up with artwork.
Yeah, and then it's for a while it's malleable, like bits can change, like some quite a lot of it changed from the first draft to then, but yeah, that's how I kind of work.
So
And
then the artwork can dictate um, text revisions.
yeah, it has done through Wrong Time Rooster, it did as well. And vice versa, obviously. But yeah, so it's that bit has been well, I mean, Flying Eye of basically like Faye, who was the editor, and Rico, who was the designer for this, were super helpful through that. Like a lot of the feedback actually for illustrations when I would send them was just pushing me to do a little bit more because I don't think I'm lazy, but like like I think I will do okay. That's okay. Let's see what they think, and then they'll be like, "Come on, we can get more detail." So a lot of the feedback was that, and then yeah, Faye is a genius at editing, and she's worked all over the place and worked started out in Waterstone's bookshop, so she knows her stuff, and yeah, she's been invaluable in putting them together as well.
So there's something that we haven't done, and that is if you could read to us from the splendid text of your
I
book.
can, yeah, yeah,
You
the
showed us
whole
some
book.
pictures. No, don't read us the whole book. I want to have good relations with Sam Arthur. Um, Read us a little bit of the text. The text is very kid friendly. Um, I became a 5-year-old when I read it.
Oh, that's great. That's really nice to hear. And I've had quite a nice well, I've had good feedback from quite a few people and friends who've said that their children love reading it and so on and so forth, which I mean that's reward enough for me, I think. Um okay. I'll see if I can I'll see if I can this is I've only done 3 read-throughs like this, so you can see I'm out of practice for it.
You can turn it at a bit of an angle.
This.
Yeah, so you can read the words.
Cool. Farmer Tony removed the lid and out popped a friendly little rooster. My name's Ronnie, he squawked before heading to his coop to unpack and get some rest. No
See,
more
that
sleeping.
that is so much fun for a kid. A rooster unpacking his suitcase and getting a little nap because he's been traveling.
Yeah, and I like his little face, like he knows he's going for a nap as well. No more sleeping in late, you lot, Farmer Tony chuckled. But later that evening, at completely the wrong time, Ronnie let out an almighty cock-a-doodle-doo. It caught Farmer Tony by surprise, much to the animals' delight. Wrong time, Rooster, they laughed and cheered. The next morning, the sun was up, but the animals were still sleeping as there hadn't been a cock-a-doodle-doo. Perhaps Ronnie just needs a day or two to settle in, Farmer Tony muttered to himself.
It's excellent. Now, here I have a riddle for you, Michael. What have um, people like me been doing now for the past 35 minutes while they've been watching you? What is bothering them in this interview? I'll give you a hint. It's on the wall behind you.
The clock's wrong. Yeah. It's a clock I made, so it's
It's not.
handmade.
It's not moving.
No,
It's not going. You know, you're a wrong time, Michael.
it's true. Yeah, it's not deliberate, I promise. I just yeah, I've
No,
never
you'll never convince me of that.
I made it, so it's all hand drawn. So I'm attached to the clock, but I never actually use it as a clock. And the battery ran out embarrassingly years ago, I would think. So yeah, it's right twice every
Yeah,
day.
yeah. This has been wonderful. Is there anything that I haven't asked you?
I don't think so. No, I think it's been a really good chat. Thank you.
I can't wait to interview you again when the big iguana
Yeah.
comes out. And I really recommend this book for all the people who are watching. And your story is a very, very inspiring one. And I can't wait until your name is worldwide.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I mean, I hope everybody's enjoyed the conversation. I've really enjoyed talking to you. And yeah, hopefully
Michael, I'll tell you my secret of the conversations. I have to enjoy them.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, no, nobody pays me. I interview whomever I like. And sometimes if I don't like the story, I will not do the interview. This is a labor of love. It's wonderful fun meeting people like you, over the internet. And then once in a while, you actually get to meet the people themselves, who seem then to be a little bit like apparitions of the real people you
Yeah,
met on the Zoom. You're the three-dimensional
yeah.
facsimile facsimile of the person that I interviewed. This has been fantastic. You're an incredible talent, and I will thank everybody. We've been interviewing Michael Parkin about his wonderful book. This is the time to raise it and show people. Michael, Wrong Time Rooster, which is just out with Flying Eye Birds, Flying Eye Books. Flying Eye Bird Books. Flying Eye.
They
Ah,
did. They've got their logo's a bird, and they for me they changed it to a little rooster. So normally it's not got that on, and I persuaded them to put the little. So they are very bird based. Yeah.
so flying. Well, and also that's flying, right? So it should be Flying Eye Bird Books. I'll speak to Sam about that.
Okay.
Michael, it's been great to have you. We're going to send everybody away to buy your book, and we'll come back and have our tete-a-tete. Before we leave, I will remember to say that I am Mel Rosenberg. I'm the host of the Children's Literature Channel of the New Books Network, and I've been here with the wonderful Michael Parkin.
Thank you very
Th-
much.
Thank you. Bye bye, everybody else.